They call it Nahanni National Park, a remote wilderness in the Northwest Territories of Canada. But to those who know its secrets, it goes by another name, the Valley of the Headless Men. This isolated land, where the rugged peaks of the Mackenzie Mountains stretch toward the heavens, holds an ancient, ominous reputation. A reputation built on blood, mystery, and unanswered questions. It's a place where time seems frozen, where whispers of supernatural forces and curses blend with tales of gold hunters and lost expeditions. Most chilling of all are the reports, true gruesome reports, of headless corpses found deep within its rugged terrain. What is the dark force that resides in this valley? Is it nature's wrath, human greed, or something beyond our understanding? Join me as we unravel the haunting enigma of the Valley of the Headless Men, one of history's darkest days. The geography of mystery, Nahanni National Park. Located over 500 kilometers from the nearest city, Nahanni National Park is a land of extremes. Its landscapes are both breathtakingly beautiful and profoundly isolating. Sheer limestone cliffs tower over roaring rapids and labyrinthine canyons, while natural hot springs bubble up from the earth, enveloped by perpetual mist. Yet for all its beauty, this land has a reputation for swallowing those who dare to enter unprepared. Indigenous Dene people, the original stewards of this land, have long regarded it with reverence and fear. They call the area Nahanni, translating roughly to the river of the land of the dead. According to their oral traditions, a warlike tribe, the Naha, once lived here. They were feared by surrounding communities for their ferocity but mysteriously vanished without a trace centuries ago, leaving behind only shadowy legends. Could the Naha have left behind more than just stories? Could the valley itself be cursed? Early exploration and the gold rush fever. The first non-indigenous accounts of the Nahanni region came from trappers and explorers in the 19th century. They spoke of untapped wilderness and rivers rich with gold. By the early 20th century, tales of a fortune hidden in the wild began to attract prospectors from across North America. In 1904, two brothers, Frank and Willie McLeod, set out on an expedition to find this rumored gold. The McLeods were seasoned outdoorsmen, familiar with the challenges of the frontier. Yet, when they failed to return, it set off alarm bells. 2 years later, their headless corpses were found on the shores of the Nahanni River. The mutilated remains sent shockwaves through the region, and whispers of dark forces at work began to spread. The curse of the Nahanni, a pattern of death. The deaths of the McLeod brothers were just the beginning. Over the next several decades, the Valley of the Headless Men claimed the lives of numerous adventurers, trappers, and prospectors. Many were found decapitated, an unsettling detail that authorities could never fully explain. In 1926, another prospector, Martin Jorgensen, met the same fate. His headless body was discovered near the charred remains of his cabin. Was it murder? Or something unearthly? Locals spoke in hushed tones about malevolent spirits that guarded the valley, punishing those who sought to exploit its riches. Theories and speculation. 1. The human factor, greed and betrayal. Some historians believe the deaths were the result of human greed. Prospectors traveling into remote areas were often armed and desperate. Could disputes over gold have led to violence? Could the decapitations have been a gruesome way of sending a warning to others? 2. The Naha tribe, ghostly guardians? The Dene legends of the Naha suggest that the valley was once fiercely guarded. Could descendants of this vanished tribe still be living in secrecy, protecting the land from outsiders? Or more chillingly, could their spirits still haunt the region? 3. Nature's wrath. Nahanni's wilderness is one of the most challenging terrains in North America. From frigid temperatures to treacherous rapids and predatory wildlife, the dangers are endless. Yet this theory fails to explain the consistent decapitations. Natural forces don't sever heads. Or do they? 4. A supernatural explanation. From shadowy entities to curses, some argue that the valley is simply a place where the veil between worlds is thin. Could it be an energy vortex? A place where human greed meets supernatural wrath? The unsettling events surrounding the Nahanni Valley's infamous Headless Men continue to deepen the mystique of this remote wilderness, transforming it into a symbol of fear and intrigue. The unexplained deaths of the McLeod brothers and Martin Jorgensen fueled theories of a sinister force lurking within the rugged canyons. As word spread of these eerie events, the shadow of danger loomed over anyone daring to seek fortune in this gold-laden but treacherous terrain. A new victim and mounting fear, 1921. By 1921, whispers of a malevolent killer prowling the Nahanni Valley had become entrenched in local lore. These tales were no mere campfire stories, They were rooted in the macabre discoveries of headless bodies in the wilderness. The next to fall prey to the valley's growing legend was John O'Brien, a prospector whose fate mirrored those before him. John, like many before him, had ventured into the Nahanni Valley in search of untapped gold reserves. Known for his resilience and experience in the wilderness, he was not easily intimidated by the stories of decapitated men. He too believed the risks were worth the potential rewards. Yet, when John's body was found, the chilling pattern persisted. His corpse was discovered frozen beside his campfire, the flames long extinguished. His face contorted in terror, suggesting he had died suddenly and under mysterious circumstances. Although John's head remained intact, the circumstances of his death raised more questions than answers. His discovery only added fuel to the fire of speculation about what, or who, was behind these deaths. A widening web of theories. Theories about the Nahanni Valley's headless victims were as wild and varied as the terrain itself. Some pointed to the Dene people, indigenous inhabitants of the region, as potential culprits. However, this notion was dismissed by those familiar with the Dene's customs and peaceful way of life. The Dene, in fact, were just as wary of the valley and its dangers, often speaking of a Nahanni, a malevolent spirit or creature that haunted the area. Others speculated about rival prospectors resorting to violence over territorial disputes. The lure of gold, after all, had a history of driving men to desperate and deadly actions. Yet, no evidence of gold disputes or stolen claims ever surfaced to support these accusations. Then there were the more fantastical theories. Some believed in the existence of a cryptid or a feral human who hunted intruders, while others whispered of a supernatural force guarding the valley's treasures. These ideas, though outlandish, resonated with a public captivated by tales of the unexplained. Expanding the narrative, the curse of the Nahanni. As more stories emerged, the Nahanni Valley's reputation grew darker. Beyond the Headless Men, travelers reported inexplicable phenomena, disappearing companions, untraceable footsteps, and eerie sounds echoing through the canyons. The Dene's tales of the Nahanni gained renewed attention, aligning with accounts of strange sightings and feelings of being watched. The region's geography added to the mystique. With its towering cliffs, deep gorges, and thick forests, the Nahanni Valley was a natural labyrinth. It was easy to imagine secrets hidden in its remote reaches, secrets guarded by forces beyond human comprehension. Further tragedy and the unrelenting mystery. The tragic events did not end with John O'Brien. Over the next several decades, more prospectors, trappers, and adventurers vanished or met untimely ends in the Nahanni Valley. Some were discovered under circumstances eerily similar to those of the earlier victims, while others simply disappeared without a trace. In the 1930s, another prospector named Ernest Savard joined the growing list of headless victims. His body was discovered, decapitated, not far from his campsite. The lack of clues and recurring nature of these deaths left investigators baffled and locals terrified. Then came the case of a trapper named Frank Henderson, whose body was found without his head in 1945. By this time, the Nahanni Valley had solidified its reputation as a cursed land, a place where those who entered might never return, or if they did, might be found in a grotesque state of mutilation. 5 years later, a hunting party, including Annie Lafferty, camped along the Flat River. That night they shared stories and laughs. The next morning, Annie had vanished without a trace, adding another chapter to the sinister legacy of the Nahanni Valley. To this day, the Nahanni Valley remains shrouded in mystery, its rugged terrain holding secrets of those who dared to enter and never returned. The enigma of Headless Valley continues. As Charlie recounted his eerie encounter, the chilling story of Annie Lafferty's disappearance became another mysterious layer of the Nahanni Valley's dark history. Annie's naked, primal ascent up the mountainside haunted those who heard the tale, especially since Charlie insisted her face appeared possessed. Her sudden, inexplicable disappearance, coupled with this otherworldly sighting, added an almost supernatural element to the valley's reputation. While the police filed Annie's case away as a presumed death, locals began to speak in hushed tones about the valley's sinister grip on those who dared enter. The shadow of these unresolved mysteries loomed large as yet another prospector, Phil Powers, arrived in the Nahanni Valley in 1931. Determined to strike it rich, Phil chose a location near the Flat River to build his cabin. In the following weeks, he toiled in isolation, preparing his claim. But his venture ended in tragedy when his cabin mysteriously caught fire. Phil's skeleton was discovered amidst the ashes, his remains oddly intact despite the inferno. Investigators noted the fire appeared to have originated from the roof, raising questions about why Phil hadn't escaped. This baffling detail led some to speculate about arson, while others whispered about supernatural forces, a curse upon the valley perhaps. Like so many before him, Phil Powers became another victim of Headless Valley's morbid legend, his dreams consumed in flames. The shadow of death persisted. By the mid-1930s, the Nahanni Valley's grim reputation had spread far and wide, yet it continued to draw gold seekers and adventurers. Each new arrival hoped to defy the odds and emerge unscathed, carrying riches from the valley's fabled streams. However, the pattern of death and disappearance persisted. Headless Valley. Lost explorers and supernatural tales. As if to amplify the mystique of the Nahanni Valley, explorers who ventured into its depths often reported uncanny experiences. Some described eerie lights dancing in the sky, unlike any natural phenomenon they had seen before. Others claimed to hear disembodied whispers carried on the wind, often warning them to leave. Skeptics dismissed these accounts as hallucinations or the product of isolation, yet such stories remained prevalent. One account, recorded in 1940, came from a group of trappers passing through the valley. They claimed to encounter a series of strange human-like footprints in the snow. These prints were unusually large and spaced far apart, suggesting that whatever left them was not human, or moved in a way beyond human capability. The trappers followed the tracks for several miles before they abruptly disappeared, as if the creature had taken flight. This event was soon linked to local legends of a race of giant beings, often referred to in the oral histories of the indigenous Dene people. These tales described ancient, towering warriors who guarded the valley's treasures, warning intruders to stay away. The unseen guardians of the valley. The Dene, the original inhabitants of the Nahanni region, have long regarded the valley with reverence and fear. They call it Naha-di, or land of the people over there. According to their lore, the valley was once home to the Naha, a fierce and reclusive tribe known for their exceptional strength and skill in battle. These warriors vanished mysteriously centuries ago, leaving behind no trace of their existence. Some elders believe the Naha still dwell in the valley, their spirits guarding its secrets and riches. They are said to target those who enter with greed in their hearts. This belief aligns eerily with the fate of many prospectors whose lives ended abruptly in the valley, often under inexplicable circumstances. Adding to the mystique is the fact that some areas within the Nahanni Valley remain virtually untouched by modern exploration. Its rugged terrain, filled with hidden caves, hot springs, and sheer cliffs, creates natural barriers that protect its secrets. Some speculate these uncharted areas may hide evidence of the Naha or other undiscovered civilizations. Modern-day mysteries. Even in the latter half of the 20th century, the Nahanni Valley continued to claim lives and baffle authorities. One of the more peculiar cases involved a solo adventurer named Frank Henderson, who vanished in 1962. Frank was a meticulous planner and an experienced outdoorsman. He kept a detailed journal and had mapped his intended route through the valley. When search parties later found Frank's abandoned campsite, they discovered his journal lying open on a cryptic final entry. It read, "They watch from the cliffs. I must keep moving." His tent was fully intact and supplies were untouched, yet Frank himself was gone. The search team combed the area but found no trace of him. To this day, Frank's disappearance remains unsolved, adding another name to the valley's growing list of victims. In 1978, an aerial survey team reported an unexplained phenomenon while flying over the valley. According to their accounts, they observed a massive, glowing orb rising from one of the valley's remote hot springs. The light hovered for several minutes before vanishing into the forest below. Attempts to investigate the area on foot yielded no signs of the orb or its source. This incident was quietly dismissed as a natural gas emission, yet those who witnessed it were unconvinced. A timeless enigma. The Nahanni Valley, with its haunting beauty and chilling history, remains one of the world's most enigmatic landscapes. Its remote location and treacherous terrain have preserved its secrets for generations, leaving historians, adventurers, and skeptics alike to wonder, what lies at the heart of its mysteries? Whether the answer is rooted in ancient legends, human malevolence, or the supernatural, one truth remains: Headless Valley has earned its place in the annals of history's darkest days. Theories that persist. Despite decades of investigation, no definitive answers have emerged to explain the deaths in the Nahanni Valley. Skeptics lean on natural explanations, attributing the fatalities to hypothermia, animal predation, or accidents in the harsh wilderness. However, these theories fail to address the pattern of decapitations and the eerie similarities in the victims' fates. Those drawn to the supernatural remain convinced of a more sinister explanation. The legend of the Nahanni, a creature described as half-man, half-beast, continues to inspire fear. Meanwhile, modern cryptozoologists speculate about the presence of an undiscovered predator in the area. Modern expeditions and unanswered questions. Despite its dark reputation, Nahanni National Park continues to attract explorers and researchers. Modern expeditions equipped with cutting-edge technology have ventured into the valley, but many return with more questions than answers. Drone footage captured in the park shows strange, inexplicable anomalies, glowing orbs, shadowy figures, and what some claim are faint cries echoing in the canyons. Could these phenomena be connected to the legends?